We were actually discussing the plot for Wonder Woman 1984 while filming the first Wonder Woman.
The biggest thing I wanted to do was not approach it any differently, where we say, oh, we know how to do that, we're going to do more of the same. So I was immediately saying, if we're going to do a second movie, it has to be amazing, it has to be its own film, and we have to figure it all out again.
The movie is just bigger. We wanted to make sure that we bring something original and bigger and fresher to the audience, especially after the way it was received the first time.
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
And at what point in the process did you sort of start talking to Patty about, wanting to bring Steve back?
We were actually discussing the plot for Wonder Woman 1984 while filming the first Wonder Woman.
It was not immediately the plan until I started really breaking the story. And once the story started becoming clear, I realized why it made sense for Steve Trevor to come back, and, we were psyched that we had an excuse.
Right, it's a good excuse to be like, all right, let's get Chris Pine back in here,
Exactly.
I think it kind of beat out the whole film, basically, by the end of filming, and told me how Steve might return. So I knew and was looking forward to coming back.
Was it hard to keep that secret?
No, it's kind of nice to, I think, especially nowadays in filmmaking where everybody knows everything about everything. It's nice to retain a bit of the David Copperfield magic trick.
So I told them, even as we were finishing the first movie, I was like, it's it, we're doing it. I figured the story out. It's all three of us again. This is going to be so great.
You know what you need to do.
Nothing good is born from lies.
Going into the second movie, I imagine that would be kind of fun, but also kind of scary to sort of, be like, okay, how can we top this?
Yeah, it's interesting because both movies were scary and challenging to make, but in a very different way and in the best way possible. In the second one, we already had established a character and we already knew what we were getting ourselves into, but because the bar was so high and the movie was so much more ambitious, then we had to deal with that. We still had to deliver a very, very good movie, but much more complex.
It was such a challenging film. And I wanted to aim not only to be ambitious in the story, to make a great, grand film, but also with the visuals. I wanted it to be a spectacle. And that will only help the emotion if the action is real and you're seeing it and you're experiencing it and the stakes are real. So literally every single one of those things, even the crew and the producers were like, oh my God. Because, instead of it taking one day and CG, it takes a month and a half.
We shot down Penn Avenue and I had to run on one street. And we decided that I'm gonna run in the same speed as Usain Bolt. So I was completely rigged and being pulled as I have to run and put my feet on the ground so it looks like I'm running. It was all super pushing us all to our limits. But I gotta say that watching it now, it makes it so worth it because you do see the difference between CGI to real action.
Welcome to the future. Life is good, but it can be better. And why shouldn't it be? All you need is to want it.
We all work so well together. And by the way, also Pedro and Kristen.
Yeah.
But I feel like the chemistry that we all clicked and we got so lucky because if there's no chemistry on set or if it becomes about people and not about the project, then it can be very, very hard. But with us, none of us, it wasn't about ourselves. We were all there for the greater good of this character and the story. And we just gave everything that we had every day.
And one of the scenes I particularly wanted to ask you about is we see it in the trailer and it sort of, kicks off the film is that awesome mall fight scene where it's just, there's so much joy to it. And it has this sort of like playful quality to it.
And it was a lot of fun. It's funny, we shot the mall scene in a abandoned mall in Virginia that we completely dressed like the 80s. Even the stores that we didn't filmed in were dressed to the T. So you see like things from the 80s that you forget. You see like Tetris games, and you see like all different toys that are from the 80s. It was super, super cool to shoot in the mall.
There's something magical about like walking onto a set and being like, I feel like I'm in a mall in like 1985.
We had an arcade there with like real, games. And every break we would go to the arcade and we would play with the games and Pac-Man and whatnot. And it was just super fun.
It was fascinating for it to be so authentic. It wasn't movie magic. It was actually cameras filming a real moment that was just so magical.
We really just talked about the quality of like, what is it like for Steve to be here now, taking in an escalator for the first time? Is it like a mushroom trip? Is it like, is it really fun and exciting and overwhelming? Is it terrifying? It was like, acting class 101 and playing really big emotions.
And greatness is not what you think.
This has been such a long journey for you. I mean, how does it feel to sort of finally have this movie out in the world, and coming out on Christmas on HBO Max?
We never make films in a vacuum, and films don't really exist without an audience. So really, after all this time, it's so nice to be able to share it. And after a year that we've had like this one, to be able to share a film that's about a superhero whose weapon is love and compassion and kindness, feels like the perfect dose of grandmother's soup for chicken soup for the end of the year.
The fact that I got to be the vessel for this amazing, iconic character that means so much to people means the world to me. And what we tried to do with this one is just like give a good reminder of, the importance of truth and the power of truth, and to bring some hope and joy to people's hearts.
Yeah, so happy. I never thought I would feel that way about switching the decision to switch to streaming and theatrical. In this case, it's like your priority as a filmmaker is to make a movie that moves audiences and reaches audience and so they have communion together in a theater. But there's no way better to do that right now than send people in the holiday season who are suffering and who might be with their family something to watch together. So there's something super, super, rewarding about going this way this time.